Oh, no one really warns you about what happens when you finally stop numbing yourself and people pleasing, and how it actually doesn't really feel like relief. It feels like your life is really falling apart after you've decided to take this step. And it sucks. So, when I first started to let go of distractions and actually decide to focus on myself, when I stopped self abandoning and people pleasing, I had the space and the time to actually sit with myself, and it wasn't pretty. It was actually very, very ugly, very messy. I was crying a lot. I was like super sensitive. I took everything personally. And it was just not how I wanted to be in general. I thought that when I focused on healing, when I turned towards healing, that things would actually feel better, that I would be this enlightened human being, because this is how they make it sound online. They're like, you just start healing and life would be better. They don't really talk about the dark parts of healing and how you actually get worse before you get better. So I just want to focus on that today. It was really, really weird because I was just like so depressed. I was in bed all the time. I just wanted to keep sleeping. I had no motivation. I actually just hated myself. And I kept having this like negative self talk because I was blaming myself for being in the position that I was in. Because, we're all like in charge of our own lives, we're the creators of our reality. But I guess, like, in that same breath, people aren't taking accountability for how they play a role in it. Or you're not really accepting that other people do play a role in your life, right? Like, how they treat you does not equal what you're worth. Their actions do not reflect your worth. And that's something that took me a long while to get to. But I just want to talk about, how numbing and like people pleasing, it's not really healing, right? It's not like there's an absence of feelings there. I think it's just like a delayed response that you're going to get down the line. And I think that's what happened to me, because for all these years, you're you're pushing down all the emotions, you're turning away from what you're actually feeling, and then all of a sudden, once you actually turn towards it and decide to face it, you feel everything. It hits you like a truck, and you're like, oh my God. And you're just crying, feeling sad, feeling depleted, emotionally drained, exhausted. Like you don't want to live anymore. I've been there, trust me. And, you just kind of start to feel everything at once. And being there is not cute, it's not demure. And I felt ashamed of being seen, of telling people the truth, of telling people my story. And I was just so tired of like talking to my friends about it, because I'm sure they were tired of my ass too, because I was sad, and I am a deep feeler. I feel very deeply and very intensely, and I'm a Scorpio on top of that. I don't know if you guys listen and know about astrology, but I believe that being a Scorpio is a big part of this whole experience that I've had, because I love to like isolate and be mysterious and all of that, but it was just not helping me in the ways that I was in this. Like it just wasn't helping me while I was there. Is what I meant to say. I felt like what would have been extremely helpful for me then, or what was actually extremely helpful for me, was killing my old identity. And this sounds super intense, but it's not that hard. It's not that difficult once you've like been practicing it for a while. You've like gotten the concept in your mind a couple of times, because I went on a YouTube binge where I just watched like, motivating videos, and I watched overnight hypnosis, like affirmations, and they were all really helpful, because eventually it finally like hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks that I was just like identifying too closely with who I thought I was and who I had been, and my past and my memories and everything that I was kind of like associating to my identity, which is like not necessarily who you are, right? You are only the present moment. You are only what's happening in this very moment, right? Your past doesn't really exist. and your future doesn't really exist in this moment. So all you have is right here, right now. And so killing the identity meant like stop relating to those memories and stop relating to that future pace memory where like, you're scared you're not going to make it because you don't have X, Y, and Z, or like you're feeling this way because of something your mom did to you when you were 5. Like, I'm done. Like, I was so tired of that. I like felt exhausted. And I still feel that way sometimes today. I felt that way earlier today. Like, I was just hardcore identifying with what has happened, and I started to feel sad and angry and so many emotions. And then I was just like, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna go get ready, I'm gonna put some makeup on, and I'm gonna do this video because I'm over feeling like I have been for so many years. And it's not just gonna happen overnight. It takes daily practice of like being like, I'm done being that person who I've been identifying with because I don't like that life anymore. So it takes a lot of you to wake up every day and choose to be like, okay, I see my mind going there towards like identifying with this, but I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm going to snap back into what does make me feel better. And that's like, whatever it is, doing your makeup, taking a hot shower, going to the gym, eating better, sleeping better, whatever it is. Don't oversleep though, because that was the death of me. I spent a whole year oversleeping because I was depressed over a breakup. Don't do that to yourself. It's not worth it. But yeah, I basically had to grieve, and I had to feel all of that when I finally started to decide to like face it and heal. And it was not a fun process up until I decided like, my identity is no longer that. Like, I identify as these things right over here, and it's just like random to bring up, but this is my list of things that I do daily, because you are a sum of what you do daily, right? You are not your past, you're not your future, you are just the moment of now and what you do right here, right now, and that's who you are, whether you like it or not. A lot of times people on your social media or people in your life will identify you with things you have done or experiences they have had with you, but that version just could no longer exist, right? Because they're not every day trying to like update that version and that avatar they have of you in their mind. So you have to just like not even think about that. You shouldn't even be like worried about what other people are thinking. And that's kind of like what set me free in a way, because when I decided to start a separate Instagram page to be able to express myself normally and to actually like out this deep feeler that I am to the universe, to the world, to the viewers of the Instagrams, that's when it blew up. That's when I got a following. That's when people started to resonate with me and listen to my art and my podcast and whatever. But before that, I felt so stuck to the identity that like I started with that personal Instagram I had, where it's like, okay, like people think I'm this person, and if I change it, they're gonna look down at me, or like if I change it, they're gonna think I'm unstable, or if I show my emotions, they're gonna think I'm crazy and that I shouldn't be doing my profession, or that I should be something else. Like, it's just like all these thoughts that I'm like, no one's probably even thinking about me, but like for some reason I'm sitting there like thinking about what they're thinking about me, wasting time, precious time. And time is money. And I want more, but that's probably the least of my concerns right now. I just want to feel good within myself. I want to feel like stable. I want to feel like I don't depend on anyone. And I think that's finally like what I'm getting to by doing, my daily routines, my daily list, and trying to get back to that. Decentering people, whether that's your mother, whether that's your partner, your kids, everyone. Decenter everyone. The only one that should be in the center is you, and then everyone else is around. And if you're spiritual and you believe in God and the universe, then have that be on the same level as you, because you are one with the universe. God is within all of us, right? We are love, right? So being able to just kind of like get back to that every day and remind yourself that that's the way that you should be feeling, or the way that you should be feeling, so that you could get to where you want to get to in life, that's what's going to help. Yeah, I guess like I wasn't depressed because my life was meaningless. I was kind of just grieving the self that I no longer wanted to be, and just allowing myself to fully let go of that, because I just like hated her. I mean, there's some love there, but like it just was love out of pity, love out of sadness, love out of like victim mentality, and just like I felt bad. I felt bad for the version of me that I was versus the version of me that I'm being now. And they're not that far apart. Okay, like they're very different, but not that far apart because I'm still in my body, right? And I still have those links to who I used to be, but they're just scars and they heal, and eventually you get through it all. In the end, something that actually was super beneficial to me and that I got out of this whole experience was just learning that other people's behaviors does not equal my worth. Again, letting my old identity die as well, and just building stability from inspiration, from moments like this where I feel like super motivated to create, super motivated to actually like put things out and to make something that helps people connect and resonate and express. And I think like focusing on that and centering my creativity that comes from source, from my inner knowing and my inner self, that's what genuinely helped me be inspired again and be more motivated again. Also, allowing my feelings, or allowing myself to feel my feelings and my emotions without making them mean something. So, yeah, like me missing an ex. Yeah, I missed him, but it doesn't mean that I should go back there. And me feeling lonely. Yeah, I felt lonely, but it doesn't mean that I need to go put myself in situations that make me feel quote unquote a little less alone, but they're not necessarily good for my well being. So, yeah, just like accepting that an emotion, will make you feel a certain way in your body, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be doing something X, Y, and Z, or mean that it means something about you and your worth. So, these are really good things to keep in mind through your healing process because, like I said, no one really talks about the darkness that comes once you start to face it. Like most people are terrified of that, and I think sometimes like some people can kind of like guess that this will happen, so they avoid healing, so they stay in their shitty patterns and their shitty lives, or like not really happy, or like they stay in like a childish immature mentality or way of living because they don't want to go through the darkness that comes before everything gets better. They don't want to face the shadows and they don't want to really go through it. But just know that if you're there, there's a way out and that you can get to the other side. You just have to stay super focused on shifting your thoughts from what's hurting you to what could actually be beneficial and get you to where you want to go. So it just takes a lot of redirecting your thoughts and observing your thoughts. So journaling has been super helpful for me, and like talking to a lot of friends, saying things out loud, and observing the kind of thoughts I'm having day to day and pointing them in the direction of the things that will actually be beneficial and get me to where I want to be. So, once you start to really observe and become aware of your internal state, only then you can name what's happening so that you can tame it, so that you can focus on what it is that you need to accomplish and what are the things that are going to get you there. But in the end, I feel like my stability came before my motivation. I had to force myself to be stable and to be consistent in these actions before I actually felt motivated to create again, to put things out, to connect with people, to live again, right? So yeah, stability and consistency comes before motivation sometimes, and that's just a choice you're gonna have to make, whether you want to or not. Like, if you're healing from bed and you're like sad and in your bed and not really wanting to get out, and you're feeling depressed and just like not in a good space, you have to still choose to like, okay, I gotta get up. I gotta like, go do something that's gonna make me feel better. I gotta like, get to a stable place mentally and physically, and I have to be consistent with my mind and my body and like my spiritual practice if you have one, right? So then you can feel motivated, so you can feel confident, so you can actually live a life where you feel good, right? But yeah, if you're in this place where you feel like everything's falling apart, just know that you are going to feel worse before you feel better, but eventually you will feel better if you stay consistent, if you focus on stability, then everything else will just flow. And yeah, you're finally feeling what you were running away from all this time. You're not people pleasing, you're not numbing, you're just facing the darkness and the heaviness, the hurt that was there from way back when. So just know that once you face it and name it, you can tame it.